terribly.
And now, as Midweek reporter Darragh and Dr. Jackson, a GP and author. Ciara, tell us exactly what you did to those subjects.
The Midweek team became aware that abortion pills existed and being sold online. So we simply went to the abortion pills in the search and a number of different websites up, all selling drugs were set to an abortion up to the 5th week of pregnancy. Now, they were different brands, some seemed to have ingredients in them, they were different costs. We actually got these drugs that cost $45, $35 for shipping. And it was unclear which were authentic, which were fake. So we went back online and by looking up our chat room and board and phone and on women want to discuss women's issues, we found that there were women literally out the world discussing abortion pills. And a particular website was endorsed. So we went onto the website. I said I had a short question where I wanted to know my age, my sex, and I was on the medication, what I allergic to. I did have to tick a box which said that I had a prescription for medication. And within a couple of weeks, it was delivered to my door by a reputable courier. And I even received an email to say that my order had been received. I received another email that let me know that it had been dispatched. It seemed quite authentic.
And when you that box, say you had a prescription, you have to provide evidence of that?
No, actually not. You didn't have to provide evidence. But I looked on a number of other websites. Didn't even if I did have a prescription. I mean, it was interesting on one of these websites. It said it could deliver to certain countries, deliver to Brazil, couldn't deliver to Canada, and it is legal to sell any drug online and to bring it in, have a prescription, and it is illegal. They still sell.
The customs officials, how did these drugs if they tried to?
Yeah, it is quite difficult for us officials to know because the packaging is developed a well-courier company sets out goods on packets. So it is difficult for them to know unless every year. And only last year they stopped packages coming into individuals. They would imagine across the country this indicates at least 3 women a day going online. They're looking for these abortion tablets. As I said, they stopped, but I'm sure the customs would accept and that's only a small amount. So it is different to every single package.
So how do you know that what's in that pill is what it purports to be?
Well, this is Sarah. Don't be buying a drug online simply doesn't know. I mean, we work with a website that had been endorsed by a number of different women who were simply checking themselves on an internet forum. I mean, because it's unlikely that you're ever going to bring those drugs to somebody texted. I mean, we actually got drugs at very interesting because it's that for the use of gynecologist.
Yeah.
So you get with a gynecologist or certainly the presence of a gynecologist. Legal knowledge, you're not going to do that, but those are like how to take the drugs, what to do with the drugs. Also, I'd like some risks associated that there could be prolonged bleeding, severe bleeding, and if the bleeding doesn't stop, you need to consult your gynecologist because there's a chance of complete abortion. It is very risky.
Dr. Julie, you're a GP. Have you had patients coming in? Do you have like this?
I've had 1 or 2 patients who've taken products that they could
coming to you after
well,
they take it?
patient and so just with me that they've had experience. I have to say both patients were fine. I think that doctors are aware that there are quite a lot of the time women are seeking abortion illegal here, so they're trapped. It's usually I've several children they can't money because going to abortion is between €1 and €2, something more. So if you don't have 1,000 or 2,000 euros and you can't leave the country, and anyone whose residence status here is secure, they can't back in, leave, they don't have residency, legally. And so those are the women who are desperate and then are seeking.
Taking a drug like that.
it's the same as having a miscarriage. Just a miscarriage. It's take it early in the pregnancy. It's like a miscarriage. So most would be absolutely fine. If the abortion was incomplete and there was remnants left behind, you could get infection or bleeding that doesn't stop. But any doctor can manage that. So usually it's quite...
If there was one who would take complications, would there be legal consequences for the patient or the GP if she was insurance complications?
In theory, the police put her in prison. To my knowledge, it hasn't. I think most is very sympathetic to women in this situation. And, it's a disgrace. You go for something that's legally available in another country. Or if you do, any country of safe legal abortion, you will get legal abortion. It always happens.
Well, what kinds of drugs people getting online?
Every is available online. There are antiviral drugs, antibiotics, antidepressants, drugs for control. Your asthma victims would have to take all of these are available online, and how much it costs. But the thing is, they're taking them from script. The British Medicines Board was coordinated week in October of this year, and along with the Trusts, we actually stopped 262,000 of tablets coming there. And there was three main tablets they've on. There was Darragh. And what they did with Darragh is it's one of the drugs that is of counterfeits. So there are manufacturers of the drug that looks like Viagra, that probably all know, the little boot that has when tested isn't exactly what it says it, and isn't the ingredients that would have met number of swimming tea coffees, which are meant to aid of those contained bitumen, which is actually legal in Ireland. It doesn't say it on the pack, but the Irish Medicines Board have said that it can be very dangerous to absorb this. Some of the medications that are coming into Ireland, other than that, our drugs are authentic, that are the real required, do have active ingredients.
Yeah, and I understand why, particularly if they've had a chronic condition that's on the same medication for years, going to the doctor's drugs are expensive. If they think they can get them on for free, they probably can not. What do you say?
If a patient of mine buying their medicines online rather than going to a shop, I'd probably ask them to show the medicines and have a look at them, see, they look like they've been manufactured in a pharmaceutical company. And also, you ask them, well, are you getting the effect of it? Does it work for you? If it works for you, it's probably okay. If the medicine is supposed to give you an erection, you're getting one that it probably is. And I'm sure that it's not having side effects. And they're happy with I think it obviously it's much better and from a top where we can know that the stress works and so on. I don't blame the patient who wants to set them up, because these are well, this is the problem. Is a lot of patients will stay because they haven't been able to afford something locally. They also might think that the doctor will somewhat disapprove. They well do. They well do. And they'll be ashamed of the problem. See, anywhere where something's controlled, restricted, and these are controlled drugs. It's restricted. You can only use a number of prescriptions, and it's very much controlled. And so I think that's where there's controlled restrictions, of course, people are going to try and look for them.
Okay, so if you're going to buy these drugs, please tell me which they
doctors should be more in heart or taking tablets outside of Ireland.
Okay, well, coming up, are we still